So welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas, and I'm joined by our regulars, Jiminy and Glenn from San Antonio. Jim's our big money man, and Anna's our beautiful nutritionist and personal trainer. And of course, we've got the illustrious Dr. Lee Osler from Washington State, dentist extraordinaire and author of several books on redox science. And tonight we have a number of members of the Medical Professionals Board. Lee and I are both members as well, but we have our lead scientist, Dr. Andrea Borges, who oversees our global studies and also is part of our medical board, advising us and keeping us apprised of everything going on. And then we have both Dr. Aaron Kaufman from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who is still in practice, has an amazing fund of knowledge, uses these products in his practice. He can tell us some fantastic stories. And also Dr. Dick Walker from Washington State, from Spokane. Are you still in Spokane? I know you and Nancy just moved recently. He's a retired, fantastic, a retired emergency room doctor and adrenaline junkie. So he really needs our products. And so if you are new and you don't know what we're talking about with these life-changing products, I'm going to ask one of our docs to come on and just give a disclaimer and maybe a little bit of a explanation of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So Dick, your face is front and center right now on my screen. So why don't you give the disclaimer, the medical disclaimer, and a little explanation of redox signaling molecules.
Absolutely. When people engage with ASEA Redox, they have some wonderful things happen to their health, but ASEA does not cure, heal, or treat any disease in our body. What it does is supplies our body with a tool that it can use to oftentimes do a much better job of what it already knows how to do, which is to identify damaged cells and help the body to repair or replace those cells. So it's a tool. It's not a cure, but it can do some wonderful things and has done for lots and lots of people around the world. So what is ASEA Redox? Well, you have to understand what redox signaling molecules are, and they're a group of molecules that are made in every one of your cells, and they turn on and turn off certain genetic pathways and certain biological pathways, which are really crucial for your health. And if you are missing, don't have enough of these molecules, sometimes those switches don't get turned on or off when they need to be, when the body wants them to be. And so supplying a group of molecules that are native to the body but manufactured by ASEA Redox in the exact same form can oftentimes enable your body to do some wonderful things with regards to your health, also athletic performance, and also, as far as I'm concerned, they are really one of the most, if not the most effective prevention technology out there. If you're concerned about staying healthy, then you should be concerned about your redox health.
I love that. Thank you for that. What we're really talking about then is a bioreplenishment agent, right?
Absolutely.
So this is something, as you said, made in every cell of our body, 100% non-toxic. We're just putting it back in there so your cells will do their job the way they're supposed to. And actually, like they did when you were much younger. So thank you for that, Dick. I'd like to bring Dr. Andrea Borges on, who comes from Brazil. She has a PhD. She's actually got a couple of postgraduate degrees and has just been an absolute blessing to have with our company, heading up some of the research. And Andrea, if you could kind of give a little bit about your background and maybe talk about I know you can't give a whole lot of information, but some of the studies that are going on in the field of redox and some of the things that ASEA is looking into right now. And also, could you tell us how many different universities are we collaborating with at this point in time?
Hi, Maureen. Sure. Thank you. And it's always a pleasure to be in this call. I've been with Redox 5 a few times, and it's always so good to meet you all and to talk to you and see your faces. Well, a little bit of my background. As you mentioned, I'm from Brazil. I'm a biologist. My bachelor was in biology, and my PhD is in cell biology and embryo development. And then I worked a little bit in a couple of years, actually 3 years in Germany, and then a couple of years in New Jersey. We had grants from the Rockefeller Foundation, from WGO, from NIH, and both in Germany and New Jersey, I worked with cell and molecular biology. I worked with redox molecules at that time, back in the last century, when redox molecules were called free radicals. And I studied a little bit the interaction of free radicals during placenta development. But then when I had the opportunity to know ASEA and the new side of redox, of those so-called free radicals, I was just amazed with all of the benefits that the products and how redox actually redox molecules work as signals. So how they are so important in how cells can communicate to each other. And what was the other question?
I know I kind of layered them on there. I wanted to see if you would, the studies and some of the universities that we're collaborating with.
We have, if you were here, any of you had the opportunity to come to ASEA headquarters or the production side, the Redox Center, you pass by my office and you see that I have 2 whiteboards and they are full of projects. So right now I'm counting them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 projects going on.
Wow.
So we have internal studies. We do a lot of internal studies. We have partnered with University of Bath in the UK, Western Sydney University in Australia, University of Chile in Chile, University of Valencia in Spain, and we have and each one of these universities, we are doing currently, I guess, around 2 projects in each university.
Wow.
And we have other labs. We have a project that we're doing that was an idea from Lee and Dick. So we are running an internal study and the report is almost ready. So be prepared, Dick and Lee will send the report soon to you so you can take a look. And we have DermaTest. We are always doing tests, like the latest test that we did with DermaTest was about Redox Gold. And we tested again. We tested before the launch and we're testing it again for something else.
Ooh.
And I mean, not something else, but we want to know more about it.
Right.
Let me take another look there because we have a new person, a new scientist that I forgot about him. He's from Rochester University in New York. And he's a very well-known scientist. And this will be a completely new area. And if we get the project approved, of course, and we get this partnership going on, because we are still talking about projects and what we could do. And it's a totally new and different project. You love it. I'm we have to get this going.
That's exciting.
I'm with Thais. Thais is the project manager. So we're putting together very beautiful and nice projects so our administration can get it approved.
That's fantastic. And that brings up a really good point in that, this actually is a research and development company. It's a biotech company. We have 3 labs on site, right? 2 in the production facility, 1 in headquarters.
Yep.
like Dr. Borges said, there are studies going on all the time, new projects, as well as studies looking at things like stability of our products, how they weather extremes of temperature, changes in taste, all sorts of things that are constantly for quality control going on, plus all of these things that they're looking at and constantly asking deeper questions about what are these molecules doing. So absolutely amazing. Thank you for that background.
Sure.
Dr. Kaufman. Dr. Kaufman says I played hooky every time he's been on in the last however many months. So, Dr. Kaufman, you know I love you. You're a fan favorite. We're so glad you could join us tonight. So come on and talk a little bit about using these in your practice and some of the things, even though it's not a medical product, we're not a medical company, I'd love to hear how you utilize these molecules. Come on and share.
Well, they are, as Dick has already talked about, Dr. Walker already talked about, they're foundational to life. They signal or turn on and turn off every single process in every living cell. So 12 years plus of using them myself and with patients, I've come to see that they are, they're part of all of my protocols for everything I do because, whether you have whatever your health condition is, it's going to make your cells work like when they were 20 or 40 years younger. It turns on cellular efficiency. So, I may be, I do a lot of human identical hormones. Testosterone makes a huge difference in all different kinds of systems. I use a lot of supplements and herbs and homeopathics, dietary, recommendations to get the poison out of our diet, the sugar and the starch and all the additives and dyes and so forth that are behind, I think all the diseases of affluence, the chronic inflammation. And I, try to get people moving. These are foundational things. But the redox molecules, the cell signaling molecules, are foundational also and make everything I do work better. So this is at the foundation of every single one of my protocols for everything I do. And I could name the processes and all. We don't want to name diseases, but this just makes everything work better. And people say, well, how does it work in this, that, or the other disease or, whatever. And, I give the disclaimer that this just turns on our cells. It doesn't treat or diagnose anything, but it makes whatever they are doing. If they're getting acupuncture, if they're going through, chemotherapy, they're on medications, they're taking supplements, they've got an exercise program, you name it, it's going to work better when you youthen the cells, you turn on cellular efficiency. So, that's the bottom line, Maureen.
I love that. I mean, it is foundational, or what we like to say, upstream of everything else, because everything good that you're putting in your body are kind of the building blocks. But if you don't have the laborers there to get the work done, nothing is going to happen. So we have these in every cell of our body, but because of different, like you were saying, lifestyle choices, or even things that we're exposed to in the environment, bad diet, sedentary lifestyle, EMFs, you name it, these molecules get out of balance or they become deficient. And so all we're doing is correcting that imbalance. We're just putting it back in, just like the testosterone that you're giving people.
And Maureen, apropos of that, I commonly on this call and for my patients, I tell them, it's not enough. This is not a magic bullet that this is all you need to do. The analogy I used to use, I haven't used in a long time, is you've got a knife in your back and I can come along, this is sort of what Western medicine and a lot of, even integrative therapies talk about. We've got this really great dressing. It soaks up all the blood. You'll hardly even see the knife sticking out and so forth. At some point, you have to pull the knife out. You have to, it's not enough just to drink this, to use the gels and so forth. You need to get out of your chair, walk, do something to move your body. Our bodies are not designed to do what we all do. We're very sedentary. They need to move. And I'm noticing as I get older, oh my gosh, if I don't, I feel like, you know what? And they need to stop eating the sugar and starch and all the processed American food that is just being literally fed to us, but just pushed down our throat by the food industry and advertising and all that's causing all these diseases. You know, I've been in practice, and next month it'll be the beginning of my 40th year. And
Wow.
I've watched all these diseases of affluence, particularly cancers, particularly heart attacks and strokes, autoimmunity, do this when the sugar and starch kept going up in the 80s and 90s. And when we started doing GMOs and Roundup, they kind of hockey sticked. And, you know, yeah, it's great to do this, but you got to stop poisoning yourself.
You know,
Exactly.
I love that. And let me ask, oh, I'm sorry. I just want to ask a question because somebody asked it. You're a family practitioner, but
Correct.
you do integrative medicine, correct?
Correct.
So, yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, Lee, was that you jumping in?
No, it was me.
Oh, go right ahead.
So I'm not a doctor, and she's done health and wellness her whole life. The common thing that we have come up, y'all, is that we've got a new gentleman that's been with us for a couple of weeks, and his wife is a researcher. She actually does a lot of deep research with a health and wellness company. And they typically will take a look at this, and they just go to wherever they go to and go, it's a scam. Come on, guys, it's saltwater. So, Lee, if you don't mind, could you maybe address that, but also address the big question is why can't we talk about diseases? Why can't we say, and Dr. Andrea and I were having a conversation earlier about why we do not want to do that, because we do not want, and Andrea, you mentioned yesterday, and I wrote it down if I can find it, we want partners. We don't want patients. And I thought that was a wonderful thing that you said. But Lee, why is this, and why will it always be a dietary supplement, and that we won't do scientific or medical studies on this or that disease?
Yeah, thank you. The original research, where this came from, the biotech company, they were headed to big pharma. That was the whole intent. They wanted to flip this, get it approved, flip it, and get on to the next research project. It was going to be an IV solution that treats some pretty significant issues, and their problem is that it was too safe and it wouldn't kill anything in the lab, and you've got to have a lethal dose certificate to be able to continue the drug pathway. And so they're really kind of dead in the waters. The investors said, well, if you're not going to be a drug, we're going to pull our funds and we'll go somewhere else. And so fortunately, Verdis Norton, our original founder, saw what was going on and said, I think there's something here. I'm convinced there's something here. We will take it. We will take it over, and we will just flip it to the supplement side of the FDA, where we don't have to make that level of claim, which also means that we cannot make claims. It's not a medical product. It's not done under physician supervision. It's not an IV. And so it's been reformulated and stabilized so that we can utilize it. It has a longer shelf life, and that's what made this happen. Otherwise, it would have been done kind of at the point of use. You make it when you're ready to use it inside a facility. Well, because of that, we don't make claims. We're not going to do research, because to do that, or at least the random control trials that people really want to see, because to be able to do that and expose that reveals all the trade secrets. It reveals the processes. And it's a very sophisticated process. And so what we can do is we can talk about structure and function. And so that's, when we can, and we can tell stories, this is how I got involved, was literally a 48-hour turnaround in my wife's health at the recommendation of her physician. I knew nothing about it at the time, which struck a brain tsunami in my mind, because I had to go figure this stuff out. But that's why, this is going to always stay in the realm that it's in. We've chosen this vehicle for, business, for getting marketing going. We've chosen this on purpose so that we can tell stories and share stories with people word of mouth. It's not something that you're going to see on the shelf at a store. When I first started, I just wish that's the way it would have been. I did have a chicken bone in my throat, and it was like, this was really hard to swallow. Once I understood the science and I understood that this is really the thing, that it changed everything. Since then, I've come to understand that the basic cellular biology that this is related to is the essence of anti-aging. This is the essence of the future of medicine over the next 2 or 3 decades. And everybody who is entering that arena from an anti-aging perspective is trying to do and capture a small part of the pathway genes that are responsible for turning the cell on to do things that make us, as Dr. Aaron talks about, euthan. We become euthanized, not euthanized. We become euthaned. And our processes work better, and we clean things out, we detox, and so forth. And it's just supporting the cellular health. I like to call it's turning on the inner doctor, awakening the inner doctor.
Cool, thanks.
Excellent.
Question for Dr. Andrea. I'm still shocked. This has been on the market going on 16 years. We're in 35 countries. Why hasn't this been copied yet? Why hasn't, because anything you see out there, some country or some people are going to take it and mimic it and try to come out with a replica. Why can't that happen with this?
Yeah, Glenn, that's a good question, Jim. Actually, the electrolysis process, which we all know, that's what happens to make the water, is very known. So any chemist could tell about the electrolysis process. What happens is that our process is so sophisticated, and we calibrate it in such a way that we hold now hundreds of trade secrets. So our process is very, very well coordinated. There are a lot of tiny steps that we have to regulate, fine-tune in such a way that we get the product as it is right now. So can we do electrolysis at home? Yes, we can. And that's not a secret, but ASEA has this patent and improved the patent in such a way that the redox molecules that are stabilized and are in this water cannot be replicated anywhere else because of the trade secrets, because of all of those fine-tuned process that we had to develop to get to this point, like pH or the type of electrolysis that takes place, the components of the electrolysis unit, everything that even like voltage, amperage, all these things, they are very, very fine-tuned. So we can have the right ratio of redox molecules that we want for the blue bottle, for Renew 28, and for Redox Gold now.
Cool.
I love
Maureen,
it.
you were, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I love it, Andrea, that we were using these products primarily the first few years, just the drink and then the Renew 28. And a few years ago, you guys told us that as you keep refining the process, part of which led to coming out with the gold, that these have become more stable and more effective, more potent. I love it that you guys are constantly refining and, they're already unique on the planet, but they keep getting better. It's very exciting to me.
Yeah. I think if someone wants to copy what we have, it will take them at least 15 years to figure out what we have figured out.
That's exciting.
Could you speak to the importance of the stability of these molecules? Because, as we've mentioned, most of these signaling molecules are reactive oxygen species, and anybody who knows anything about those knows that they're very unstable. They don't like to exist in a stable format. And to have signaling, you have to have at least some stability of those molecules. Could you kind of speak to the effort, or how important that is with regards to ASEA Redox supplement?
Yeah, those molecules, as you mentioned, Dick, they're very not stable. They're very unstable because they're molecules that want to give energy, to give electrons, or receive electrons, receive energy. So they are moving all the time. They are exchanging all the time in a normal environment. What we did, we figured out the right environment that these molecules can survive, can be in their energetic state without wanting to exchange electrons, exchange energy. And these are the trade secrets that we have. All those parameters, those are the things that we account every day, and we have to keep fine-tuning them. Even in our machines, they can't have a lot of variation because it will imply in the product. It will have some effects in the product. So we have to be very careful with everything, with every step of the process, in such a way that those molecules can be stable, not only after being produced, manufactured, but also during transportation. Because we're in 35 different countries. It means that there are, and they are not shipped, they are shipped by ships, right? It's not by plane. So they travel a long way, and they face hot temperatures, they face freezing temperatures, they face everything, and they need to be stable. So we have special chambers here that we mimic all these different conditions, so much so that we are sure, and then we test the product to make sure that the redox molecules are still there from the time it started to the end of the process. And apart from that, we also have third-party labs that will double-check our results. Because we test them here, we test every single lot, and then we send those lots also to third-party labs that will test them and will certify us with redox signaling molecules.
Very good. Dr. Andrea, I had a question. So maybe you can give us a snapshot of where we were 3 years ago, getting ready to make the gold and the process, and where it is today. Because a lot of people think it's just a better version of Renew 28, and there's so much different about it. Maybe you can just give a glimpse, especially for the people that are new, and we don't always get enough time on the new gold products. So that would be great to hear your synopsis of all that went into making it.
Yeah, Redox Gold, this the blue tube, it took us almost 4 years now, and we're still doing research with it, because we had redox, as I mentioned, redox molecules, they are very unstable. So we can't mix it with, I don't know, lavender oil or camphor or anything like that, right? We had to do a lot of research to come up with gold. We actually tested a lot of different metals. We tested minerals as well. And we had good results with a few other compounds, but gold was the one that was the wow. So, and from that time on, we focused on getting gold with the redox signaling molecules. And one interesting thing is that in the beginning, and that's that's why I love science. We as like ASEA employees, we wanted gold to be a skincare product. And then we did that beautiful clinical trial. So we would have a product good for wrinkles, moisture and everything. And what was the result? Man, no, not good. Not good for skincare. It didn't moisture anything. It didn't decrease wrinkles. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have such a good product. And at that time, we knew that the NF2 activation was super high with gold. And we're like, so what's going on? And then we started thinking. And we at ASEA at that time, we had a very professional soccer team, just kidding. And they got injured very easily. So we're like, oh, let's try it, right? Try to, and I don't know, this is the type of things that happen in science. You just have that glimpse of something and, oh, let's try this. Try this one and try Renew 28. And we compared both. For skincare, the skincare test, we compared both. If for our amazing soccer team, we also compared both. We're so lucky that most of our, I don't like to say that, I tease them. They were so good that they all got injured. But what happened was that we were able to test gold and, Redox gold and Renew 28. And what we saw was that Renew 28 had an effect, but they all reported faster effects and amazing effects with gold. And then we were like, bingo, we found this pathway. We found the injury, not actually injury because we can't say that, but it cools down. And then we went to the thermography tests. And with the thermography, that decreases the temperature of the local temperature of places that we had discomfort. We got that decrease in temperature, and it was amazing. So when we received those results, we're like, we have a pot of gold literally in our hands.
That's awesome.
What I think about, Andrea, what really excites me is, you basically said, well, it's not going to help skin. We thought it was going to be a skincare product. Oh, these guys are getting relief from, their, in recovery in sports and so forth. Oh, that's what it's going to be for. This originally came out, we didn't know what it was. And it was like, oh, well, Vertus's son-in-law was a high-performance cyclist, and he was noticing all kinds of huge improvements. So they talked to Dr. David Neiman down at in the Research Triangle, the Human Performance Lab, and started seeing all these amazing things, which is, by the way, one of the things that hooked me. But then 15 years, look at all the things that we talk to people about. So when you say, oh, it's a recovery relief product because that's what we found that works, I'm going, okay, what are we going to discover? Already started to discover. So, that's very, very exciting to me hearing you talk about that.
I have a question for Andrea and Dr. If the two of you could respond to this. One of the studies, Andrea, that you were mentioning for Redox Gold showed the dramatic improvement in glutathione. And in some of the studies, there was, I think, 2 or 3 of them, and there are ways that they looked at them. The finding was that when when it was no longer needed in the body, in the cell, that it returned to baseline. As I recall, anyway, that's what I heard Hunter say. That really intrigued me. Could you elaborate on that? Because I think that's an important distinction about the cell's native ability to self-regulate when it has restored itself to normal operational status.
I think I can, because you brought it, because this is not like public yet. I think Hunter mentioned to you, Lee.
I think, go ahead, Andre. I didn't mean to.
I didn't know it was not
I'm just
public either.
thinking of the cell's ability to reset itself. That's the whole property of a redox switch.
Yes. We saw that. We saw that cells when our body, when it's not necessary anymore, those glutathione, our body can restate the homeostasis, and it goes back and stays there.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction, because you can have too much of a good thing.
Well, see, the whole
Yeah.
point is reductive stress. This is, from the world of biology, as you know, we can get into reductive stress where we're megadosing and we're suppressing the very system that the body uses to activate those pathway genes.
And actually, it's not. There are situations that we can take more ASEA, but it's not a general rule that the more the better. And we have the C. elegans study, for example, that their lifespan was increased, but at certain dosage. But when they were exposed to a higher dosage, it didn't happen. Anything happened, or it went back to normal. So we, as human beings, because this is other thing, we understand that those redox molecules, we need them, we produce them, and as we age, after 25, we start aging and we start not to have the enough amount of molecules. So that's why we replenish with our water. But the thing is that those molecules, they work to promote homeostasis. They can't be too much. We need a balance. We need balance. And we all have seen, I think, even if we're new, if there are new participants, you will have the opportunity to see our slides, or even Hunter or myself talking about it. It's what we call homeostasis, right? And to reach homeostasis, we need to reach the right amount of molecules. Too much is bad. Too little is bad. So we have that certain amount. This is also what we call
what Dr. Osler calls the hormetic
hormesis, the
Goldilocks effect.
Yeah. And we have seen it so much time. So many times, because every study that we do with universities, they are in vitro studies, meaning it's we treat cells, we put cells in culture, and then we treat with different amounts of either Renew 28 or Redox Gold or the ASEA water. And what we saw is that there is a certain, and this is different from cell to cell, and there is an optimal dosage. And then it went back, as Lee mentioned, to baseline. So there is like a hormetic curve. There is a curve that there is a point that you have to find the right amount. And that's so interesting because it explains why the effects are different from me compared to, Jack or Lee or Maureen. It's different for each one of us because our bodies are different. We need different amounts of redox molecules. We reach our homeostasis in different with different amounts of the molecules. So yeah, Maureen, there is a sweet spot for each person, and we'll have to find ours.
Exactly.
Dick, you
I
can
don't
go
know
ahead
if I
and address that
answered
as
your
well.
question, Lee.
Oh, I was just going to say that one of the other, I think, important findings in that study was that when cells were intentionally made sick by blocking their ability to make glutathione, that exposing them to the ASEA redox molecules restored them back to essentially a normally behaving cell. So, and it's really those damaged sick cells that we are really hoping that we can help correct when we take the ASEA redox. Of course, it also seems to optimize the function of cells that aren't, quote, sick. But being able to restore the ability of our cells to manage oxidative stress, I think is a huge deal. And that study really pretty effectively showed that this supplement can do that. And the other point I wanted to make is that, ASEA redox is entirely different than any other nutritional supplement out there. We call it a nutritional supplement, but there's virtually no nutrition in the ASEA drink. It's a pure cell signaling supplement. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's totally different than anything else they have on their supplement shelf at home. And it is absolutely foundational, where a number of other supplements work in certain niche areas to help our body become or to regain health or maintain health. But ASEA works at the foundation for every living cell to be sure that it can manage the oxidative stress component, especially.
Something I want Maureen and maybe Dr. Kaufman to talk about, but we talk about the healthier cells getting healthier, that the glutathione was boosted 70%. But Maureen, can you speak to the fact that don't wait till you have a health issue? Don't wait till you're sick. Isn't it better? I think, Dick, you mentioned it, maybe Dr. Kaufman, but being proactive, don't wait. Maureen, can you address that? And then Dr. Kaufman?
Yeah, I think actually Aaron said earlier that he thought it was the best tool for prevention. I mean, we usually don't make any kind of claims, but honestly, you guys, people are healthy until they get a bad diagnosis. I mean, you may feel something going off in your body, but a lot of times people get a diagnosis and they're totally blindsided by it. They're like, what? And even before you get symptoms, there are things that are going amiss in the body. So this is just something, very easy to overcome. And it doesn't matter how healthy you are. You may be doing all the things right, like Dr. Aaron was talking about, moving your body, getting out in the sun, breathing clean air, drinking clean water, getting good nutrition. You may be doing all of that, but your mitochondria, where these molecules are made, are still being assaulted on a daily basis because we can't get away from some of the toxins in our environment. And so doing this, and I like to say, dig your well before you're thirsty, right? Why try to play catch up? You can get on these products now. I was just writing in the chat, you will know if you start feeling better, if your sleep is better, if your mood is better, if your energy level is better, you're going to start to feel these things. And in fact, every case of our product comes with a little checklist of things that you can monitor, because you may be waiting for, your need to feel better or stop hurting. And you may miss all the other benefits that you're getting from these products. So even if you think you're healthy, I would recommend getting on these now. Number one, even just for the age reversal, if that's important to you. But I think everybody on here would say, Dick, I know this is like your field too, so jump in. I think all of us want to live to be 100 plus and fully functioning.
So many people think that the absence of symptoms equates to a healthy body, and that just isn't necessarily true, because, many of the disease processes that ultimately, come to the fore and express themselves in us, they've had a long lead time. They didn't start the day you started to hurt or the day that, a mass was discovered on some scan or something like that. Those processes started a long time ago before you ever knew it was there. And that's really where you want to nip the problem in the bud. You want to get on top of those things. And we know that all of those chronic diseases, the incidence increases with age. And it's not by accident that as we get older, we have fewer and fewer of these signaling molecules. And because we have a pretty good idea now what they do in terms of, guarding our cells and activating repair pathways and all of that, that's how our body stays healthy. That's how our inner doctor works. Our inner doctor absolutely has to have a healthy balance of redox signaling molecules, or else they might as well just hang up their shingle and go home. And so that's why the supplement is so important for quote, healthy people to engage with, not waiting until they've got some horrendous disease process that's causing them all kinds of problems. And unfortunately, that's human nature. We need to sort of change people's approach to health so that they start to pay more attention to prevention and wellness and adopting some of these principles. And like Dr. Kaufman mentioned, it's not just redox, although redox is a very important part of this. It's exercise, it's sleep. But interestingly enough, I think, Dr. Kaufman, my understanding is that there is evidence, scientific evidence, that many of those good, healthy habits work, in part at least, by improving our redox health. And so these are additive, not either or. And I see people all the time that have a number of healthy habits and still get sick, and still develop chronic disease. And that's in part because they still have problems with their redox health that ASEA Redox could help them to take care of. It's not a cure, it's not a treatment, but it does give the body a tool that it knows exactly what to do with, exactly how to use it, and exactly how to signal those pathways that are necessary to repair and replace damaged cells. And that's just so important to slowing down or managing or in a positive way the aging process, because it's chronic inflammation that ages our body. And we know that oxidative stress is what leads to inflammation. And we now know that ASEA can help our bodies deal with oxidative stress in a very significant way.
I'd like to echo that just real quickly with this idea of redox lifestyle. I can say this as a generality throughout, all of healthcare, that you could conclude that anytime a person gets better in their health, and I'm not talking about symptom suppression or medical intervention, I'm just saying that when your quality of your cellular health improves, it's because these redox pathways were affected. Therefore, if you exercise, if you fast, if you keto, if you do stress reduction management, whatever it is you're doing, whatever the thing is, red lights or hyperbaric oxygen or whatever it is, and you get better, it's because it impacted these redox pathways. And so if you know that that's the answer at the end of the pathway, then you can reverse engineer that and you can go upstream and say, well, if that's true, how do I shop? How do I exercise? How do I eat? How do I support my gut health? Because all of the things that we would do, I could probably tick off about 30 of them right now. I wrote about them, and it's like they all impact the redox pathway genes. That's why we get better when we do those things. And so the point here is with the ASEA Redox supplement that we've been talking about, it mimics all of those things. It's a mitochondrial mimicker. It mimics what's going on in the mitochondria to produce or to have active these redox signaling molecules that play on these pathway genes. And because of that, a plethora of redox sensitive pathways all become affected at once. And we've just, Andrea's pointed out, we've just basically narrowed our focus down on 2 or 3 or 4 specific pathways that are very dominant. They're the prototypes, if you will, but there's thousands of them. And because we can introduce a mimicker that creates the state that we would do with redox lifestyle activities, we can complement that. That's why I appreciate what Dr. Aaron said, is you don't just sit on the couch and drink this stuff and go, I'm healthy. It will help. Yes, it will. But when you combine it with all of the other layers to this, now you've got health restored.
Hey, Dr. Kaufman, can you talk about this also being a boo-boo protector? Haven't you had a few boo-boos that you did not know were going to happen? And wasn't it nice that you were already prepared, that your body was armed? Haven't you had a couple of boo-boos like me?
You mean me smacking into life?
Oh, yeah.
All over the face? Yeah.
We never know when those things are going to happen now, do we? They're not planned, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Just real quick commentary. I love this discussion Dick and Lee are having, and it was just refreshing for me. What Dick was talking about, health doesn't just mean, being disease-free. And when Lee wrote so brilliantly in all his books, and when he first said, coined the term redox lifestyle, I thought, this is it. That's what cellular health is. And then he fleshed it out in just the nth degree with all these things, that were so educational for me, autophagy and what redox homeostasis looked like, so forth. So I really appreciate that. And getting back to where you originally were talking about, Maureen, I think when this first came out, I don't know if you guys remember, we would talk about, well, if it's making your wrinkles improve and, helping with cellulite, skin elasticity, all that sort of stuff, that the study showed, think about what it's doing inside. And we had physical evidence, and they could say, yeah, if it's doing that on the outside, what is it doing inside? So as far as boo-boos, yes, I've had a lot of injuries, and oh my gosh, thank gosh for Redox Gold. What a gift. And things heal. I tell patients these things will heal 5 to 10 times as fast. The boo-boos, the tripping on the mountain trails, you had to be rearranged your furniture inside surgically. Things are going to heal 5 to 10 times as fast, and that's experiential. And Jim, most of you guys have seen the videos of my face recovering just dramatically fast because of drinking the drink and using the Renew on it. It's like you don't see things heal that fast.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah, pretty
to
amazing.
complement that, and the most amazing part of all these things is that we're replenishing our body with something that our body knows. So we're not giving our body something to produce that will induce the production of glutathione or induce those genes that Lee talked about. It's not something strange that our body will have to deal with. It's something that our body knows. And so if our body doesn't need that at that right moment, at that place, it won't be used there. It will be used somewhere else. So that's the beauty of the science. That's the beauty of redox. It's because our body knows it. Our body knows what to do and where to use it.
And I hope everybody just picked up on what you just said. That is really a brilliant way. It's what our body knows. I think sometimes we get too caught up in the idea of that our body makes these, and it does. But I think the more accurate way of detailing this is that these signaling molecules are what our body uses. It knows this.
Yeah, it knows what to do with it.
Yeah, and that's why there's really no toxicity, because if there's nothing that needs worked on, then there's no signal that needs to be sent to make the body do anything in particular. But when there is the need, when there are damaged cells, or when there is an excessive amount of oxidative stress in your at the cellular level for whatever reason, then that condition needs to be managed. And now the body has a little bit of an enhancement to help it deal with that and get the right messages where they need to go when they need to be there.
Yeah.
In wrapping this up, Maureen, we've got 3 minutes. You are a skeptic. You didn't believe this. Can you speak to the people real quick that are out there that may be watching this or watching the recording and going, this is woo-woo. This just, I mean, these people are credible, but they don't know you. But what do you say to them? This sounds nuts.
Well, let me tell you what, almost 13 years, it'll be 13 years this Thanksgiving that I got involved with ASEA. And back then it was a little bit of a leap of faith. Number one, it's salt water from Salt Lake City. And initially all we had was the liquid. I have it, you have the big blue bottle, I have it in the sports pouch. And I remember saying to the person who shared it with me, I live on an island surrounded by salt water. I can just go to the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America with a big jug and get some of the water. So I was not impressed, and I did not believe in it. I thought it was, kind of a scam or a hoax. And I can't really tell you why I took the leap of faith and tried it. My husband was very ill. My husband's also a physician. And the person who brought it to me was somebody that I had respect for, not a medical professional. So I kept it to myself because I didn't want to be ridiculed as a physician that I was drinking salt water for health benefits, until I started seeing changes and I couldn't explain them. And I was not familiar, probably Dick and Aaron, you guys as well, Lee. I had never heard of redox signaling molecules. But interestingly enough, my medical school, the Medical University of South Carolina, at the time that I got involved, had just received a $10.5 million NIH COBRA grant to study redox signaling molecules in the body for all sorts of health challenges. And it was amazing to me that this was already out there, and I had just not heard the verbiage. And then, of course, we just had the Dr. Neiman studies back then that I think Aaron referred to down at Appalachian State, the Human Performance Lab, where they could show that athletes were running further, faster, longer, and recovering faster after drinking this. And my husband's problem was he was an athlete and he had an oxygen problem. And I was like, well, if it could help them, maybe it'll help him. And, our lives were drastically changed when his health returned about 6-8 weeks after we got started. And I became a convert pretty quick. So, it's healthy to be skeptical.
Jim,
Well,
I've
touch on the real.
always said
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
skepticism prevents you from making major mistakes, but cynicism often prevents you from making smart decisions. So skepticism is fine, but so many people become cynic about this because they just have never heard about it. And that's a real shame sometimes, because people don't get the advantages of what this technology can deliver for them.
Aaron, what do you say real quick? Then Lee.
Well, I was just thinking what Dick said. I remember, who was it used to say that it doesn't treat or cure anything. These products don't treat or cure anything except skepticism.
Yeah, and Lee, your skepticism. Then I want Dr. Andrea to answer that as well.
Oh, I love the
I
way.
know you have a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I love the way Dick did that. My skepticism went away with experience. By personal experience and my wife. But I also had to know academically or literature-wise. I needed to know that this was supported, and I've totally satisfied my mind, and hopefully it's helped other people the same way. But to me, the kind of the two things work together. It is a thing. It's not a scam. It's not, outside. This is not an outlier. This is actually the very thing that everything works on, which is a bold claim, but when you dive in and realize what cell biology really is and how electrons move from molecule to molecule, and it totally makes sense.
And I don't understand any of that. I just know it works. Andrea, what do you say? I mean, because when you joined the company, did you not have to prove to yourself that this was real? That it's not some
Scam?
Yeah. Salt Lake City?
Oh yeah, I did. That's why we were like, I need to see results. I need to see the science behind it. So when I started at the regulatory department, and I was over claims, substantiation. And when I read the claims that we do for the water, I was like, I need to have more knowledge. So I went down and I studied a lot and also reviewed all the former studies that ASEA conducted with Dr. Neiman, and the Tarot Lab study, and all those studies, even like before ASEA was ASEA with the MDI. So, and then I started to believe, but it was a turning point when I started to drink the ASEA actually and use the initiative. And then I was like, no way, you can't do that. In the beginning, I also thought it was just salt water from the Great Salt Lake here, just in the corner. And I'm like, that's not possible. How come? Then I came to the Redox because I was in a corporate building. So I came to the production. I came to Redox Center. I went through all the process 2-3 times. And yeah, I had to study a lot. And then I moved to the science department, and then it was like one surprise after the other. I was just amazed with all the things that we can accomplish and the things that we see actually, because it's not that I believe someone told me that. I saw that. It's proved, it's science, it's backed by science. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm never tired of doing science with this product because it's always so much fun figuring out new things and new ways to use it. It's amazing. And I have to confess something. All the employees here at ASEA, we have the products, one of each products for free each month. So, and I have to tell you that I can't find my Redox goat at home. My son plays soccer, so it goes from my ASEA bag to his backpack. And I have to fight with him to have at least some of these. So we have a treat at home now. So 1 month is for me, 1 month is for you. And he's like, Mom, from the time that I started drinking ASEA, I don't know what's in there, he said, but I am so much better. I feel so much better running in the field or recovering after practice or games or everything. Do you have time for one story?
Sure.
Okay. So he does a lot of weightlifting as well. This my youngest son, and he plays soccer. So his leg muscles are very thick and strong. So he was playing soccer, and because of this tightened muscles, he pulled a piece of bone out of his hip.
Oh no.
So he had a bad injury. And the doctor gave him 3 months to recover. 1 month after he was recovered, after the incident, he was recovered. Of course, the doctor didn't let him go back to play, but he was able to like swim, and he went back to his normal things. And at that time, we didn't have Redox Gold, but he used Renew 28 and he was drinking ASEA regularly. So I was like, okay, so let's do some more studies.
Andrea, he didn't need to have surgery for that?
No.
He evolved a piece of bone? Wow.
No, because
That's
of his
great.
age, he
Right.
healed very fast. He just had to like not move and not practice any kind of sports, anything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
he healed so fast. We couldn't believe he didn't even use the how do you say that? Scratches? Scrunches?
Crutches?
Oh, okay, no crutches. Okay.
No crunches.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
He used for like 2 weeks and then he was good.
Wow.
That's great. That's
You know,
great.
Andrea, you said you get 1 tube a month. I have a beat up old body. Like Jim said, I've smacked into life a lot, boo-boos and so forth. I go through 5 of these a month and probably about 7 of these a month.
Yeah, can you imagine how my struggle? I struggle so much.
That's,
Yeah.
Well,
you know what?
guys,
I was
need it.
thinking, yeah, we're running really late.
Yeah,
But,
go ahead, Maureen. It's going to be your fault
I
tonight.
was just going to say, I thought I was indulgent because I'm going through at least 2 tubes of not just the babies, but the big tubes a month.
That's
But
us.
Andrea, if you'll remember, and we could talk about this at another time. I was facing a hip transplant, a hip,
Kind of.
hip replacement.
I
And I had
remember
said
your
to
story,
you-
Maureen.
Yes. And I had told you that I didn't think the gold was working. You were like, that's funny. And so I just had to apply more of it to a larger area. Well, April, when I was supposed to have it done, came and went, and I am fine. It's mid-July now, and I will not
That's
be with
great.
It's amazing.
And-
Love this stuff. So
Well, and Dr. Walker, who summited Mount Everest, said you could have done it without without oxygen. You could have continued climbing maybe for a little bit longer, right, Dick?
I could have done a lot of things a lot longer if ASEA
Had
did
it.
it back then.
Sure.
Yep.
And there goes the reason why we do this show, is to share it, is to get the truth out, invite people to come. We started this 7 years ago. We started it because I frankly wanted to hear stories. I wanted to have my belief factor continually go up. And when you force yourself to do this, and we do it out of love, we do it out of, what's the
Passion,
word?
pay it
Paying it forward.
Yep.
Because we have to. We owe it to people to share this. And so this is a tool that people can use to build a business. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that, but all the people here are, except for Dr. Andrea. So please, thank you. Next week, we do have a treat. We've got our, he's on the board of directors, Chuck Funky, who is absolutely amazing. I've asked him to do a presentation that he did once about going to medical school and what it costs, how many people actually get into medical school, and then ballpark kind of income you can make. But it's going to be more of a little bit of a business presentation as well. I'm asking you to come back and bring people. We will be having all the docs on the line, or Lee and Maureen, but come listen to one of the guys that's foundationally helping direct the future of this company, Chuck Funky, who you will absolutely love him. He's a blast. So with that, this recording will be up at redoxmatters.com within the hour or so. Please share it. Invite people to come back next week. We will be back.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Andrea.
thank you.
Marion,
Thanks,
thank you.
guys. Love you all.
Appreciate all of y'all.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thanks, everybody.
weekend.
If we can buy.